Um, I'll tell you a story. Everybody knows the famous singer Leanne Rhymes and her husband, Eddie Cibrian. I was getting some patches thrown on at this shop down in Ventura County when I lived there. And what are the chances that Big Cass knows who Eddie Cibrian is, or even Leanne Rhymes? I do. I'm eclectic. And I look over, and I'm there getting some patches, and my chaleco's on the table, and I tell the owner, go ahead and do mine after. And Eddie looks over at me and goes, oh man, I've heard of that club. Long lasting, a lot of history. I was like, yeah, cool. So he lays his chaleco on, and I see him put the top rocker. It was all black, and was black chaleco with white and black patches, and puts the top, says Punishers, then the center, then the bottom, then the MC cube on the right, and then the LE on the left. And I went, oh. We were actually chatting at that time because I said, as my let me back up a little bit. We're chatting. I'm like, oh man, thanks, blah, blah, blah. What do you ride? What do you ride? Blah, blah, blah. And he was surprised. I said, man, you're Eddie Cibrian. He's like, I said, you wouldn't think somebody that looks like me would know who you are? And he was like, I really didn't. I said, well, man, it's a pleasure to meet you. My old ex-old lady's there. And as the owner's putting the patches, when he gets to the LE, I went, well, this conversation's over. And he went, what? I said, come on, my man. I don't acknowledge or believe in law enforcement, motorcycle clubs, let alone law enforcement, period. And this is what he said. Eddie, I still have your number. I'm going to text you this video. And if you choose you want to dispute it, or maybe you're not in that club anymore. But he says, oh man, they just gave me these patches. And I looked at him, I said, be proud of your patches, even though I don't acknowledge them. And never tell that story like that again, that they just gave them to you. I said, it don't bother you. You didn't have to earn them. He's like, well, man, I'm an actor. I said, I know. Do you get what I'm going here? You're in a law enforcement club. You put LE on there, and you're not a cop. And this is what he said. Man, I'd die on my bike today. He says, but I play a lot of cops. And I said, well, my man, don't play biker. Because some of us live this for real. We don't get a paycheck. We get nothing for it. And he was like, well, man, maybe you could, I said, well, let's exchange numbers. And man, if you ever have any questions about how this life really is. And we spoke a few times. I invited him down to when I released Life of One Percenter. He texted me. He was filming. He said he couldn't make it. I sent him a copy of it. He said he liked it. And that always stuck with me when he said, they just gave me these patches. If there's one thing about my channel, I'll say it again. I don't do news at 2, live at 5. This club got into it with this club. All I try to do for my years of this thing that we call outlaw life, 1%er life, I just try to teach the new guys, don't run down that hill to just lay in one cow. Walk down and you can bang them all. So don't run that bike just to accomplish one thing. Ride it smooth and slow and see the scenery. Get some memories of miles. So all I try to do is just teach from my experience, because somebody taught me and I still learn.
The biker world has always had its own set of rules, and when it comes to cop clubs, they break the biggest one of all: trust within the brotherhood. Outlaw motorcycle clubs like the Hells Angels and Bandidos have roots stretching back to the post-war era. They live by a strict code, loyalty, brotherhood, and a fierce independence from authority. For them, the open road is about freedom, not following rules set by others. Cop clubs, on the other hand, are made up of law enforcement officers, people who literally enforce the laws that outlaw bikers have built their identities around resisting. Clubs like the Blue Knights or Iron Pigs wear similar patches and ride similar bikes. But their mission is the opposite. This clash goes back decades. In the 1970s and 80s, police crackdowns on biker gangs led to violent confrontations and deep mistrust. Outlaw bikers see cop clubs as a direct threat to their way of life, and some incidents like undercover officers infiltrating clubs have only fueled the tension. To outlaw bikers, cop clubs are posers, riding the style but not living the life. They see the badges and uniforms as symbols of everything they stand against. Respect? It's off the table. In the biker world, you can't be both judge and rebel. Stories circulate of cop clubs being denied entry to biker events or being shunned at rallies. The divide is clear, and it's personal. And that's why, after all these years, the two sides will never see eye to eye.